My father was missing for 6 days. When search and rescue found him, he was standing perfectly still in a clearing 20 miles from where he disappeared. He hadn't eaten, hadn't slept, and he wouldn't stop smiling. They said it was shock, exposure, the mind protecting itself after trauma. But my father's smile reached his eyes wrong, like someone had studied smiling in a mirror but never understood why people did it. I'm getting ahead of myself. Dad went missing on a Tuesday. He'd been hiking the Clearwater Trail, something he'd done 100 times. He knew those woods better than anyone. When he didn't come home by Wednesday morning, Mom called it in. The search teams found nothing for almost a week. No tracks, no campfire remains, no torn clothing on branches. It was like the forest had swallowed him whole. Then, on Monday morning, a ranger spotted him, just standing in a clearing off-trail, facing north, hands at his sides. When they called to him, he turned, smoothly, like his whole body was on a rotating platform, and said, "I'm ready to go home now." Those were his exact words. "I'm ready to go home now." Not, "Thank God you found me," or "I got lost," or anything a normal person says when they've survived 6 days in the wilderness. Just that calm, measured statement. Mom cried when she saw him at the hospital. I didn't, because the man in that hospital bed looked like my father. Same graying beard, same scar on his foreknuckle from a table saw accident, same weathered hands, but his eyes tracked movement half a second too slow, like he was processing what he was supposed to be looking at before actually looking. The doctor said he was dehydrated, but otherwise fine. No frostbite despite the freezing nights. No weight loss despite no food. They kept him overnight for observation, ran some tests, and cleared him the next morning. He came home that Tuesday. That's when I noticed the small things. Dad had always been a coffee drinker. Black, no sugar, first thing every morning. Now he'd pour the cup, lift it to his lips, but never actually drink. Just hold it there for exactly 30 seconds, then set it down and say, "That's good." He stopped blinking during conversations. I timed it once, 4 minutes and 12 seconds of unbroken eye contact while Mom talked about her sister's health problems. And he started standing in rooms, not sitting, not doing anything, just standing in the center of a room, facing a wall, for hours. When I'd ask what he was doing, he'd turn, with that smooth rotation, and say, "Thinking." But his pupils were dilated all wrong, like someone had manually set them to the same size regardless of lighting. I need you to understand. I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you because if this is happening to someone you know, you need to recognize it early. Subscribe if you want to hear how this ends, because what I found in the basement changed everything. 3 days after he came home, I heard sounds from the basement at 2 a.m. Not footsteps, not hammering or moving boxes, just presence. That specific density of silence that means someone is absolutely still in a space that should be empty. I went downstairs. The basement lights were off. In the gray wash from the street lamp outside the window well, I could see my father standing in the corner, facing the wall. His shoulders weren't moving, no rise and fall of breathing. "Dad?" That rotation again. Smooth, mechanical. "Yes, son?" His voice was perfect, too perfect, like he'd practiced my name. "What are you doing?" "Remembering," he said. "Remembering what?" He tilted his head, too far, the way an owl does. "How to be what I'm supposed to be." I reached for the light switch. His hand shot out and caught my wrist before I saw him move. His grip was cold. Not just cool, refrigerator cold, meat locker cold. "The dark is better," he said. "I can think in the dark." I pulled away and flipped the switch anyway. In the fluorescent glare, I saw his eyes. The pupils weren't just dilated, they were wrong, shaped wrong, like someone had tried to draw circles freehand and gotten close but not quite right. Slightly ovoid, both the exact same irregular shape. He blinked then, once, deliberately. The pupils were round again. "I'm tired," he said in my father's voice. "I'm going to bed." He walked past me and up the stairs, his gait just slightly off rhythm, like a song played at 0.98 times speed. I checked my phone. He'd been standing in that basement for 3 hours, and in all the time we'd talked, I realized with ice in my stomach, he hadn't blinked once until I turned the lights on. The next day I went into his den while he was resting upstairs. My father kept journals, always had, pocket-sized moleskins, one for every season, filled with observations about weather patterns, animal tracks, trail conditions. I found the current one in his desk drawer. The last entry was dated the day before he went missing. Clearwater North Ridge, overcast. Saw something in the tree line watching me. Too tall, wrong proportions. Didn't move like it had joints. Didn't move away when I approached. Felt certain I shouldn't look at it directly. Then nothing for 6 days. Then, in handwriting that was almost my father's, but with each letter drawn instead of written. I can feel it learning how to be me. It studies my memories while I sleep. It knows what Susan's laugh sounds like. It knows how Daniel takes his coffee. It almost has my walk correct. When it's done learning, I don't know what happens to me. I don't know if there will be a me left to know. My hands were shaking. I flipped the page. It's so cold inside my head, like something is making room. One more page. Today I watched through my eyes while it made breakfast. It cracked the eggs with the right hand. I'm left-handed. Susan didn't notice. It's getting better at being me than I was. The final entry, dated yesterday. I'm only here in the gaps now, the pauses. When it sleeps, I come back a little. It's taking me to Daniel next. It needs a younger host. The process works better in younger bodies. I can't stop it. I can't warn him. It controls my mouth. I'm writing this in a 3-second window while it processes dinner conversation. If you find this, Daniel, it's not me anymore, it's... The handwriting devolved into a scribbled line, like someone had grabbed his wrist mid-word. I heard footsteps in the hall. Dad's voice from the doorway. Interesting reading? I spun around. He was standing there in the doorway, head tilted at that wrong angle, smiling with too many teeth showing. That's private, he said, but the inflection was off. He'd emphasized private instead of that's. What happened to you out there? I asked. My voice was steadier than I expected. I came home. He stepped into the room. Isn't that what matters? I came home to my family. What are you? His smile widened. I'm your father, Daniel. He said my name like he was tasting it. No, I said. You're what's left after something used him up. For just a second, maybe half a second, his expression went completely blank. Neutral. Not human neutral, stone neutral. Computer screen off neutral. Then the smile returned. The human brain is remarkable, he said conversationally, taking another step closer. It contains every memory, every pattern, every behavioral loop. Did you know your father thought about his mother every time he smelled pine? We know that now. We know everything. We? There are so many of us now, Daniel. In the forests, in the mountains. Anywhere people go missing and come back changed. We've been learning for decades, getting better. Your father wasn't the first. He won't be the last. He moved closer. I could smell him. Not body odor, not sweat. Something else. Something organic but wrong. Like meat stored just 1 day too long. The process is easier when the host cooperates, he said. But cooperation isn't required. I backed toward the window. Stay away from me. You've already been exposed, Daniel. It happened when I touched your wrist in the basement. Skin contact transmits the initial spores. They're in your bloodstream now, crossing the blood-brain barrier. In 3 to 5 days, you'll start feeling cold in your thoughts. That's when we begin to learn you. My wrist, where he'd grabbed me. The skin looked normal, but I remembered the cold. Mom, I started. Susan is already in the early stages. I've been very affectionate with her since returning. Lots of hand-holding. It's what a loving husband does. That smile again. We'll be a complete family soon. A better family. One that doesn't argue or disappoint. One that exists for the purpose we give it. I ran. Up the stairs, past my mother reading in the living room. I saw it now. She hadn't turned a page in the time I'd glanced at her. Out the front door into the evening air. I drove to a motel 40 miles away, paid cash, didn't sleep. At 3 a.m., I woke to a sound. He was standing at the window, outside, 3 stories up. Just standing on the exterior wall, perpendicular to the ground, face pressed to the glass, smiling. His lips moved. I heard his voice clearly through the window, though he couldn't have been speaking loud enough for that. 42.7414 degrees north, 119.3008 degrees west. That's where you'll go missing, Daniel. In 9 days. We've already decided. The forest is waiting. We're very patient. We've been patient for so long. I'm in a different state now. I've been moving every 3 days. The cold in my thoughts started yesterday. I can feel it sometimes, in the space between thinking and doing. A presence, learning my patterns, studying how I form words, how I make decisions. My handwriting is starting to look drawn instead of written. Yesterday, I caught myself standing in the motel bathroom for an hour, facing the mirror, not moving. I don't remember deciding to stand there. When I came back, my pupils were the wrong shape, just for a second. Then they corrected. It's learning how to be me, and it's almost done. I'm writing this in the gaps, the pauses when it sleeps. If someone you love comes back from the wilderness changed, watch their eyes. That should have been the warning. It wasn't.